All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
I haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys. But all right, so another episode of the EP podcast. We have another home team episode here. We're going to cover the one and only U.S. presidential debates. The first one up to two. The second one, I believe, is in September. We're going to talk about our input in it. We're going to go into the specific areas that were covered. And we also have other topics to cover as well. I have Arthur Hannick with me here, the co-host of the EP podcast. And we'll just go at it. Arthur, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you this evening?
I'm surviving. We've been trying to record for the past 2 hours, so a little bit on the struggle bus here, but we pull through. So, and if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on the notification bell, and share it with your friends so you don't miss any episodes to come in the future. So, Arthur, big things happen. One of the biggest things that happened this year is the presidential debate of Trump versus Biden. Okay. We watched it actually at your house. What we did was I pulled the last minute card per usual.
Yeah.
And we set up a TV in Arthur's smoking room, and they had some cigars and a nice I believe it was scotch to go with it. We had a Romeo and Julieta, I forget what year, not a Churchill, and a Glenmorangie 10-year to go with it. And it was really good, and it was as American as it comes. So was appreciated it very much. But the debate is a different story. So, Arthur, what was your? It was a sad day for America, I think, is one way to put it.
The debate was a disaster. There isn't anything positive from it. It was a bad look from both sides. It shouldn't have been done. We just need to rewind and forget it ever happened.
Yeah. So we're like, in hindsight, 2020, but it's been a couple of days now that it's happened, and you realize, especially in comparison to debates long ago, that all this consisted of was just bashing each other instead of talking about what they're going to do for the country. It just seemed to be a play of who had the most dirt on who and how fast they could just present it to the public. But even with that in consideration, they look awful doing it.
Well, this was a unique situation. This is the first time that we have a past president and a current president going up against each other. So now they can both discuss what each did in office. Before, it's never been that way. It's either been two people that have never been in office to say what I'm going to do, or it's been one person in office and the other person who says, here's why they didn't do a great job and here's why I'm going to do a great job. But
we have a case study. We have a case study now, because now it's I had my 4 years, you had your 4 years. Yep. Pick what you want to see, But then with that argument is that, is the Biden administration inheriting what the Trump administration left behind, and as a result is Biden left picking up the pieces. So while into some people's eyes Biden's administration might not be doing that great, you got to ask the question: is it because of Trump's administration, or is it Biden's administration's doing? So we started talking about that offline, and we kind of just wanted to go into the different topics that were discussed in the debate. We could start with what we thought of CNN, CNN moderating.
CNN did a great job. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, CNN, at no point, I think it helped too that they didn't have a live audience for the first time. So I feel like that influence wasn't there. So, they were able to... I didn't feel like there was any, bipartisan questions. I didn't feel like there was any favoritism. I didn't feel like, they were rudely disrupting one versus the other. And CNN is known to be left-winged, right?
Towards the left. I wouldn't say they're...
middle left?
Middle left.
Middle left? Okay. So, middle left, and I that's one of the things I noticed, is I felt like it was flowing well. It wasn't that the only thing that wasn't flowing well is the discourse between the two. But other than that, I was, overall genuinely satisfied with how CNN did moderating. But what were your thoughts on how they did?
Their mics being turned off was a huge help, because that last debate with the two of them and the mics being on and you could just keep speaking over the other person got to the point that you couldn't even hear anything coherent being said from either person. This round, it was clear you could hear one person at a time.
Oh, do you think that and I know one of the things that we were talking about was that the one of the debates that we were talking about was the Nixon and Kennedy time where they were both running and what kind of discourse they were having then. I saw this video being resurfaced of when they were doing the debate and how much more proper they were back then. Like they were, respectful to one another. They were, they listened, they didn't disrupt each other, and they were still like presenting the facts or whatever the case was. But now we'll be seeing like the complete, different world of it. What do you think has attributed to that?
Unfortunately, this country got split and it's become an us versus them thing. And before it was never that bad. Yes, there was Republicans and Democrats, but you have the 50-50 mark, and one is just slightly more Republican and one's just slightly more Democrat. So it was a lot of times you go to vote and it wasn't that big of a difference on who you chose because their core values were pretty similar. There's just one or two, maybe three hot button issues that they opposed each other on. But other than that, it was fairly consistent.
Yeah.
Now it's night and day difference.
It almost sounds like back then they were trying to get to the same place, but they had a different way of viewing how to get there. Whereas now it's either someone's saving or someone's destroying.
Correct.
Right?
Feels that way.
It's a little different. So, and just imagine what other countries are looking at us like, right? Seeing the disaster of like, talking about golfing, who's people's handicap, their weights, all that kind of stuff, the stuttering over words and stuff like that. It was an embarrassment for us. So I know you noted here that you noted the stuff with Biden. He had 4 false statements, 3 misleading. Trump had 26 and 4 misleading. So walk us through that a little bit.
I reviewed the CNN's fact checking, and they came up with, they're calling everything a false statement. So in Biden's position, according to them, there were 7. I went through and I looked at each one and put its merit on, if it's misleading, I don't know if it's really considered false, because that's part of what the debates are. You're trying to downplay your negatives and focus on your positives. So when someone brings up a negative, you don't want to say, no, I didn't do that. You just want to kind of change the statement a little bit to be a little bit more ambiguous.
Okay.
So in that situation, I may have been a little harsh on Biden because I put 4 in false. It may actually been 4 misleading and 3 false, but you know what? I'm going to be conservative on this.
You were harsh on Biden.
For this, for the 7 comments.
So if you call that harsh, what do you call 26 false for Trump?
I'm trying to be polite and say false.
Okay. All right. So
26 were outright lies.
Okay.
And of the 4 that are misleading, technically it might be 3 that were misleading, and that 4th might fall into the outright lie category, but being conservative, I put it into misleading. So I tried really hard to give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Well, the general consensus is that they were both saying whether misleading or false statements. And I think part of that plays into the fact that they couldn't have any notes. Right.
That makes it a challenge. I mean, well, Biden's misleading statement, or Biden's statements that if he could have notes in front of him, he mixed up some of the facts, he mixed up some of the details, and I can understand that. Trump wasn't really using numbers. He was really just making shit up. And that was apparent. And from there, that's where it just really went downhill from there. Now, if we want to grade who won the debate based on appearance that evening, it looked like Trump won. But the old standard was, if you go out on camera and you lie, you lost the debate. So if we're going to go by the old standard, well, then Biden won. In the end, I don't think anybody won this debate. It was a sad showing.
Okay. So what I want to go into particularly here, I know we weren't able to cover all the areas, but just some of the ones that we did, and you did a great job covering some of these, was the topics that they went into. The first one being foreign policy. So you have here Trump, Iran didn't fund Hamas during his tenure. So what's your intel there?
Well, I went right off the CNN site, and Trump claimed that during his tenure, Iran never gave any money out to Hamas, and that's incorrect. Iran has given money to Hamas, period. Even when Trump was president and he claimed that didn't happen, it did happen.
Okay. And into democracy. So when they went into democracy here, are we talking about how they're saying that democracy is at risk or something in particular?
I have a hard time going to the polls and voting for someone who flat out said, on my first day back in office, I'm going to be a dictator.
Okay. This is where I'm going to push back a little.
Okay.
And you could argue that, maybe you shouldn't do this as someone with as much influence as someone like Trump. Is how much are things really taken out of context, one, or taken too seriously?
Those are his words verbatim. And there's no way to take that out of context.
Well,
what are you going to do when you get back in office? My first day back in office, I'll be a dictator. There is no way to take that out of context.
But would you not say that a lot of people had it out for Trump in this specific administration? Have you ever seen an administration where they try to, go after a candidate as much as we've seen with Trump?
I don't think this administration has gone after Trump as much as they could have.
Really?
Really?
Oh my God, dude! You should see the White House page on Instagram. You should see the obvious statements that come out of their administration with their advertising campaign and stuff like that. You don't think that the Biden administration has had it out for Trump even just a little bit?
Well, hasn't the Trump administration had out for Biden? I mean, doesn't that wash each other out?
Well, when Trump was in office, he wasn't going after Biden for whatever allegation might have been out for him then, or anything with Hunter, or anything with his family, or anything like that.
No, but during Trump's time, he was still going off about Hillary.
And what happened with that? Hillary just got away slate clean.
What did she do wrong?
With the emails?
She was absolved of that.
Meaning?
She was found not guilty. They didn't even have to go to a trial. And just for the record with the emails, Trump's daughter did the exact same thing.
Okay, so if we want to go pointing fingers, I mean, what about Hunter?
Hunter, that's a good one. The Republican senators have even openly stated that should never have gone to trial. And it only went to trial because Hunter was at fault at this. They were trying to work with Hunter, and he wanted absolute immunity. Well, that wasn't going to be given. And instead of being realistic and taking a plea deal to a lesser charge, he demanded to go to trial. Well, he went to trial and he lost.
Because that's when they found out more.
No, this is...
Okay.
All that information was there before. I mean, Hunter should not have gone to trial. I'm sure he went against his lawyer's advice on this. Mm-hmm. And he should have taken a plea deal, but he refused to take a plea deal unless he got absolute immunity for everything that he's been charged with and everything that could be charged with down the road. Mm-hmm. No one is going to give that type of a deal.
Yeah.
And he needed to back off. So, unfortunately, Hunter, I'm sorry, but there's a reason why you listen to your attorneys. So you got what you had coming.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the abortion topic at hand with Trump. Because, can I be honest with you here? I'm going to give you pushback. Because that's, we don't always want to be an echo chamber around here. Why is it that I'm only seeing Trump and falls? I'm seeing like an ongoing thing here. But
we can be honest about that.
But I'm not seeing anything for Biden.
How much time do we have to prep? You stopped me. I didn't get to finish.
But you immediately lean on Trump.
I was following right down the CNN, and if you go back to their website, you'll see that everything that I was going right down the list in order. And it was Trump, 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 Trump. And then as we were getting into Biden, that's when you called the time.
But CNN is middle left. And they're going straight Trump, 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 and then the rest.
They were going off of the facts. They were fact checking.
But with everything Trump first?
I just went right off of how they had the website.
No. I believe you on that.
But I don't.
But I just find it a little convenient that we are checking all Trump, 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 rather than Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, right?
Well,
and we go into Trump, Trump, Trump.
Well, you have to. I mean,
especially with people's attention spans, because people are not going to be reading all the way down.
Well, let's go with statistics here. There were 30 issues with Trump and 7 issues with Biden. So it's going to be several Trump before you get to a Biden and several more Trump before you get to a Biden.
Look, I'm just trying to get at that. Biden is no saint. Biden is no
Never
saint.
said he was.
Biden is no saint, and I don't, and I'm not. I'm a registered independent. I'm not for popularity. I am for principles. I am for policies, the betterment of America today and the betterment of America in the future. Whoever that be is that is up next to represent that. But my honest opinion, man, is like, for one, I'm also innocent until proven guilty. I'll say that. I'm innocent until proven guilty. I am America first. As an immigrant, well, you could argue that we've all been immigrants as if you were Native American, but as someone that wasn't born in this country and came to this country at 8 years old, you know, I am America first. So America first, innocent until proven guilty, and what I've seen, so I'm like as unbiased as I possibly could, because if anything, I'm just a student of the game. I'm new to the game, right? So, but what I do see from such an unbiased standpoint is that this dude, Trump, gets no fair share here. Everybody is just against Trump, 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 Trump.
Okay. Well, Trump's vice president.
Trump's vice president, okay.
Hasn't endorsed him for president. Biden's vice president has. What does that say about the person? Trump's previous chiefs of staff are coming out endorsing Biden. People in Trump's administration are saying...
But is it that they're endorsing Biden or they're just going against Trump?
Does that make a difference?
The last election, we know that...
Does that make a difference?
We all know that the last election was just U.S. against... It wasn't Republican and Democrat. It was Republican, Democrat, and then there was Trump. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I voted for Biden in the last election. Will I do it again this time around? I don't know. I'm at a point in time where I don't feel comfortable enough until I have a whiteboard that's 6 foot tall and 6 foot wide, where I go through both of their administration and see all that they have done for this country, and see who it is best fit to represent this country. That's where I'm at with that. Where are you with that?
I think Biden made a major, major mistake at the debate, which could have solved the whole problem.
What was that mistake?
When Trump came out and said, the only reason I'm running is because of you. And Biden should have said, ditto, and I'll make a deal with you.
Oh,
you agree to step down and not run, I agree to step down and not run. That would have solved the whole problem. I'm not thrilled with either candidate. And unfortunately, we're coming down to, I'm not going to be voting for somebody, I'll be voting against somebody. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that that's what the votes have come down to for the past couple of elections. As I'm not voting for, I'm voting against. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I'm sorry, but anybody who is over 75, they shouldn't be running for president. Let's just be realistic here.
Yeah.
We have law firms across this country that you are required to retire at 65. How can I be told that I am required to retire from my day job? But don't worry, I can turn around and run for president. I'm sorry. You can't. We need to be done. We need to put a cap on how old. There's a minimum on how old you have to be to run for president. Why don't we have a cap on how old you can be to run for president?
What's that minimum again? Do you know?
35.
35? Okay.
And I believe it was JFK who was the youngest.
Was he? Okay. No, and here's where I do agree with you in that, and the fact that these guys are just, for one, one has a chip on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. The other one, I just feel like he's being a puppet to his administration. Because let's be honest, I don't know how cognitively capable he is right now. I don't know. I don't even know if he necessarily even wants to. I mean, Biden has an amazing track record under his belt. He has a crazy amount of experience. He has done more debates than any other president that I think I know. Like, he's well experienced, but at this point, he's at the point where he's past his time.
This should have been we should be coming on the end of his second term. He should have run way back when.
But he's tried to run so many times at this point, right?
He didn't run the last time. The last election he ran, the time before that he
did not. No, but he also ran. Was it 08? What was it?
He threw his name in the hat in 08, I believe.
Yeah.
And then stepped down in the very first round. I mean, he's tried to run for president a couple of times in the past. That's correct.
Yeah, so Biden ran for president 3 times. 1988, 2008, 2020, and 2024. Well, that's 4 times. Jesus, come on, Wikipedia. So the first time, he was viewed as a good choice early on, but quick after it was discovered, he gave a speech that was copied from Neil Kinnock, I'm not sure, a British politician. Biden campaigns with Senator Barack Obama in 2008. Okay, yeah. So
there you go. Because he plagiarized something in the 80s, that disqualifies you from being president. But in the 2020s, you can make shit up and you can still run for office.
Right. Like, so here, I want to stay online here because I do want to get to the point where we run through this, what you were able, because Arthur carried this heavily. I'm not even gonna lie. That's why he's a team player here, because you never partner with people that bring to the same thing that are to the table that you bring. You bring someone that brings something different to the table than you have. He brings everything more. So let's talk about the race. So like the race topic, you were saying, you stated here, Biden calls black people super predators, but you're saying that's false.
That's, according to Trump, that's what Biden's name is for black people. That is completely false. Biden has never said that. The person who said that isn't even running. But we're going to put words in Biden's mouth.
And this is for sure.
Yep.
Let's look at this. All right, so CNN article, facts first. Did Biden refer to African Americans as A predators? Quote unquote, A predators. The claim is that in attacking Biden for his advocacy of the 1994 crime bill, Trump claimed that Biden had called African Americans, quote unquote, super predators. Quote unquote, he did a crime bill, Trump said. 1994, where you called them super predators, African Americans super predators, and they never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it. CNN Politics says this is false. The evidence is that the First Lady Hillary Clinton used the term super predators in 1996 speech in New Hampshire in support of 1994 crime bill. Biden did warn in a 1993 speech of predators on our streets who were beyond the pale in support of the crime bill. The bill itself has come under heavy criticism in recent years for being among the policies that led to mass incarceration, disproportionately affecting black men. But Biden himself rejected the theory of super predators and more. So they're saying that the claim is false. Correct. But it was really, quote unquote, crooked Hillary. So that's quoting Trump. So, okay. So we're saying that was false, and that has been fact checked. We're also seeing that. Okay, I'm seeing that you wrote down here for veterans, Trump, quote unquote suckers and losers. So what do you mean by that?
That's what Trump has called veterans are suckers, and if you died in a service, you're a loser. Those are his words.
Okay.
He claimed that he has never said that. And when it was first reported, it wasn't verified by one source. It wasn't verified by two. It wasn't verified by three. 4 people stated that before it ever came to publication. And it was 4 people within his administration. Then, later on, his chief of staff, Kelly, openly stated that, went on the record to that exact same extent. So saying that Biden made that statement up is 100% inaccurate. That has come from repeated people in his administration.
See, now, I would love to see the evidence behind this, and I'll have to do this in my own time, but to call any veteran a sucker or a loser is just outrageous.
Correct.
So if that checks out, totally against it. So you wrote here, was it made up by Democrats, came directly from COS Kelly. Chief of Staff Kelly. Okay. So now we unfortunately weren't able to get to the rest of the things, but they talk about the attacks. The attacks, are we talking about what kind of attacks here?
That was just from the metrics when we did the breakdown of I'm not sure what attack it was seeing.
Okay.
The poll was referring to.
Okay. Let's talk about, so what other things can we specifically touch on here? There's the tax, crime, tax reform, healthcare, climate change, age, COVID-19, and opioids. Now, the age thing we covered. The age thing, Trump is what? How old is Trump?
78.
Trump is 78?
Yes.
And you're sure about that?
Yes.
Okay, so Trump is 78 and Biden is what?
81.
81. I think we could both agree that, that's too old. You were saying earlier, what should be the middle limit again?
I'd say 75 sounds like a good place. This way, if you run for office and you're 70, 68, 69, 70, 71, that means you can be at 75, you need to step down. Let's give it the middle, saying, hey, if you turn 75 during office and you still have 2 years left, okay, you can serve to 77, maybe even 78. But we shouldn't be starting a term at 78.
Now, isn't there not the cognitive test, right? The cognitive test. Mental, how do you say that word again?
Cognitive.
No, mental competency.
Competency, there it is.
For politicians over 75 see overwhelming support. So this is the Hill.
This is a proposal. This is not in effect.
Okay, so mental competency is not something that we currently have in effect for.
There is no test to be president.
Huh. Okay.
And maybe that needs to be brought up, is that we need to do a couple of just some quick basic tests to make sure that you're fit for office.
It should be, because how some people perform at 75, could be completely different how some other people perform at 75.
Correct.
And ultimately, we're not discriminating age here. We're just trying to be conscious of competency.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we know the one lady who, I think it was 95 when she decided to give up running 5 miles every day.
Okay.
Mrs. Mendolia.
Okay, I didn't realize we were going to say the name, but okay.
I mean, she's passed, but I mean, 95, she decided, it's just a little too much for me to run 5 miles every day. So she gave it up. She'd still go out and play 18 holes of golf.
She had an insane amount of energy.
And it was an all-day event. She would eat lunch, go out and play golf, and by the time she came back, it was time for, a late dinner.
Yeah.
But she was able to do it. And then I remember, and she came in and said she was so upset, she just turned 100, and she went to renew her driver's license, and the DMV took it away from her. I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am.
She was still driving late.
She drove herself to the DMV, and they took her driver's license away from her.
That is crazy.
They said, we can't issue it to somebody who's 100.
Is that an actual thing?
There's a reason why there's a reason why your driver's license expires when you turn 100. It's so you go there and the DMV takes it away from you.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
She was so upset she had to call somebody to come pick her up because she couldn't drive back.
That's something. That's something. So I can't believe we'd already, well, I think it's one of those things that now we learn just based on such a debate that we had just this past Thursday, right?
Yes.
Thursday, that maybe we should take in conclusion, in consideration, a competency test. So
I think there needs to be a physical fitness test. I mean, this is a stressful job.
there's a cognitive test, is it not?
No, there's not.
So what's the whole thing about Biden and Trump back then going back and forth about the elephant and all this crap?
Oh, Trump took a cognitive test in 2018. He wants to use those results today.
Yeah, but that was, and then Biden was it not that Biden didn't pass it? Hold on, let's look at this real quick.
If he didn't pass it, it's not going to be advertised that he didn't pass it. There's going to be some sort of spin.
Okay, so there's NPR, February 28, 2024. Biden just got a physical, but a cognitive test was not part of the assessment.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think, you know what? Here's the thing. If we're going to have of the name of the free world, and our president is going to be the leader of the free world, he needs to be mentally capable, physically capable, and then everything in between. Because if not, then
the physical thing we need to watch about? I mean, I'm not asking them to do a lot. I'm not asking them to run a marathon. But in some cases, like
but physically,
FDR was in a wheelchair.
Okay.
But he was able to serve for 14 years. Mm-hmm. We've had other presidents that have taken office and have dropped dead within, I think the shortest one was under 40 days.
Okay.
Like, that's just a problem.
Yeah. And not to mention that, mind you, leader. There's a reason it's called leader. Leader because they represent the United States of America. And we do have opposing nations. And when not companies, opposing nations look at us and the first thing they look at is our leaders, right? And that's because it all trickles down. It ends up hurting us if we don't have a good leader, and it ends up benefiting us if we do. Now, I'm not one to fearmonger here against other nations, but it does benefit us when we know that we have a leader that is going to say no, and we will act towards it if you try to manipulate us, which is more likely to happen if we have an incapable leader. And I think that's kind of happening today, if I'm being honest with you. So,
and let's not just stop at age limit for president. We really, really need to put age limit on the Senate.
Okay, tell me.
I believe it was Strom Thurmond.
Okay.
That the man was 90 something, and when Congress was in recess, he went back to his home state and was put into a nursing home. And then when it was time to come back from Congress, they checked him out of the nursing home and brought him back to D.C.
Oh, that reminds me of Mitch McConnell. Was it Mitch McConnell that was having the...
He had some...
Yeah, he kept having like the random like...
He had some medical issues.
He kept dozing off.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, it needs to be...
But you have to understand, Strom Thurmond was wheelchair bound. He wasn't with it. He couldn't answer questions, but they kept pushing him up there to vote. Mm-hmm. And then when you go home, your home is a nursing home?
Yeah, no.
And they just kept re-electing him and re-electing him.
Yeah. See, if you're in the U.S. government, dude, you're defending the country. You're keeping the country safe. You're keeping the country stable. You're protecting the country. And if you're gonna go back home at the end of your workday to a retirement home, let alone in a wheelchair, like, bro, like, no, we're messing up somewhere. We're putting ourselves at stake here we're putting ourselves in a position of failure. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm totally against. So age, we need to get ourselves in check.
There's a minimum age, but there's no maximum age.
And it only makes sense to have one if we have a minimum one. That's crazy.
Correct.
So let's talk about COVID-19. Biden versus Trump. I know we don't have anything filled in here, but we experienced it.
The COVID-19 was just Trump was going off on that, and Biden didn't even respond. I don't even think Trump was asked a question about COVID-19. I think he was asked a question he didn't want to answer, so he decided to talk about COVID-19 for his minute and a half, 2 minute
Yeah.
session.
Yeah. So how I feel about COVID is what the numbers show is that, or so I think, that we did better. Not we did better because we had Trump.
We were
for
the
COVID.
most prepared nation to go into COVID, and we were one of the worst nations for the results of COVID.
We were the most prepared going into it, but
When it came into putting our plan into action, we didn't.
And what do you think contributed to that?
You're not going to want to hear the answer.
What makes you say that? What is it?
Trump, we had a playbook for what to do for an outbreak across the country, and Trump threw it out within the first couple of weeks of office. Said we don't need this. We don't need to be prepared for it. We
So
do
no.
nothing. Just got rid
Here's
of
the
it.
thing. We got our computers in front of us. What the hell do you mean by that? Because you're saying what Trump just threw it out the office. What did he throw out of the office?
There was a preparation plan, and there was money being devoted to this just in case, and he cut that budget and got rid of the plan.
Okay. I have no idea how to look into that, just based on what the hell you just said. But viewers, please, if you understand what the hell he's talking about, let us know. If he's wrong, let us know. If he's right, let us know. But it's just, we need facts. We need facts here. So please let us know on that. So you're saying, you're just...
We were the most prepared nation for disease outbreak, and then when you want to give us a grade on how we did, we failed.
Okay, and what metrics do you have behind that?
Look at how the rest of the world paired for it. Look at how many deaths are in other countries.
Okay. So that's majority of the topics in the presidential debate. Let's close out the debates with, unless there's something particular about the debate that you want to go into, with how we feel about it overall.
I mean, if you want this to be two-sided, so we've said several of Trump's misstatements.
Yeah.
So let's go over a couple of Biden's.
Talk to me.
Biden said that his record as commander-in-chief, that there have been no military deaths under his presidency, or no military deaths for this decade under his presidency. That is not correct. There have been a few. He might be able to say he's had the lowest number, but you can't say that you have none. So that was something I put into a false statement. Let's find another one for Biden.
But also, okay, but
Biden on drug prices, he came out saying that, his administration has lowered the prices. Well, his administration has passed a bill to lower the prices starting in 2025. So I stuck that one as, I call that one false as well, because it was a false statement. However, it's not like it's egregiously wrong. It's just he said that his administration has done, and what they have done is they passed a bill that will go into effect in 2025.
okay.
Let's see if we can find another one for Biden. This way, statistically, we've done more on Biden. Biden and black unemployment. He said unemployment for the black population was at the lowest it has ever been, which is incorrect. It was the lowest under his administration that it has ever been in the country's history, but it has since increased since it's hit that low. So these are the false statements from Biden. As you can see, there's a night and day difference between Trump's false statements and Biden's false statements. So I know you want to say, hey, this looks like it's all skewed towards Trump, but the facts are there.
So let's talk about, who do we think of the, for lack of a better term, the lesser of two evils is a better fit for the country today?
Well, at this moment, Trump doesn't have a running mate. And
That's been publicly announced. He specifically said that at that debate, his running mate. Do you mean like vice president?
Yep.
That his vice president was at that debate.
But there was no audience.
Okay, but
So-
there were still people there. People there in whether Republicans or Democrats that were in office in some sort of a political position. Gavin Newsom was there.
Okay. Well, then, see, this is where the question it comes down to. If Trump wins and is going to resign immediately before taking office, and then we're going to have his running mate as president, that could be a good option. If Biden wins and resigns, we have Kamala. I don't know if she's ready for the position. But I don't see Biden resigning, so we'd have him, and I don't know if Trump would resign himself, so then we have him. So, I mean, honestly, I would love both of them to agree not to run, and let's try this again and see who we can get on the ticket and get voted for before November.
So, out of all the people in politics right now, who would you say is the most qualified to be in office today in the current state of that America is in? Who is best fit to be a leader of the free world today?
At this moment, I might, I wouldn't mind. I would.
And I'm not talking about just Trump and Biden. I'm talking about
No.
it in general.
I think Mayor Pete Buttigieg, or Buttigieg,
Buttigieg, yeah, something like that,
would.
right?
He has done a phenomenal job with transportation. There's been several issues that's happened under his watch, and he has been swift and effective with resolving them. He's also served our country, and I think he'd make a good choice. That's the first one that comes to the top of my head. If you want me to go with a Republican person, I could go with Nikki Haley. I think she is good. I think another great one would be Liz Cheney. Actually, she might be a really good one as an option.
Okay.
I don't know if she's done with politics after everything that's happened and everything she's been put through. But her father was vice president, and she's been a senator for several years. I think she might make a good option.
Okay.
I'm not looking for somebody all the way to the right or all the way to the left. I'm looking for somebody middle of the road. And I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. I just want somebody who's going to be level-headed and be more centristic. And we haven't had that in a while.
So, what are your upcoming predictions for this election? What do you think is going to take the cake? What do you think is going to be some, for lack of a better term, some black swan event in this race?
Well, here's the problem with American politics. It doesn't matter what happens in June, July, August, or for the first half of September, or possibly even the end of September. It's all going to come down to what happens in October and beginning of November is what people remember. People only have like a 6-week memory. So it's going to come down to the last 6 weeks, which, why do we put so much time, effort, energy, and money into this and start discussing this a year and a half before we vote if it's all that matters is the last 6 weeks?
Well, if you're trying to...
We waste so much time tearing ourselves and our country apart on this.
Well, I think 6 weeks is not enough of a time frame. Like,
But that's what it comes down to.
I mean, you don't win someone's heart in 6 weeks.
It's not about winning someone's heart. It's going to be over whatever the hot button issue is for those 6 weeks, and then you're going to make a decision on that. So Biden not doing well at this debate, Trump not doing well at this debate, it's not even going to be a factor when it comes to elections.
So who do you think is going to win it if it came down to Trump or Biden?
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
in
I'm
the
not
last 6
saying
weeks.
you have a crystal ball, but just based on what you've seen thus far, who do you think is going to take the cake?
It doesn't matter what happens right now. What's going to matter is what happens starting October 1st on.
Okay. So what do you think America's responsibility is to do now?
America's responsibility to do?
No, Americans.
Americans' responsibility to know. Educate yourself on both candidates. Find pros and cons, and then decide. I would love to say it's going to be you're voting for a candidate, but I think it's going to come down to you're voting against a candidate yet again.
Okay. Are there any closing thoughts?
I think I've said more than enough.
Yeah, now you have. So, yeah, we were planning on covering all the topics, but this has been mainly the presidential debate, and the second one is happening in September, right? I believe.
I believe it's September. Yeah.
September. So we'll be around to cover that. So if you like to hear more of Arthur's thoughts or my pushbacks, I'll come better prepared next time. But I'll let Arthur have this cake. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Turn on the notification bells for your friends to know about and yourself. Share it with them. Share it with everybody you know. And keep the communication going. But until then, bye-bye.